LA is known, like, got an X on it in the industry. Like, niggas know, like, niggas come out there, you getting killed, like, as far as, like, artists.
He dropped out at 15, did time at the peak of his come-up, and still debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200. That's not luck. That's Tony Yayo. Before fame, he was already navigating the streets with 2 kids who'd change his life forever, 50 Cent and Lloyd Banks. A brotherhood forged in South Jamaica long before the world ever heard of G-Unit. Together, they took their neighborhood grind and turned it into a movement that reshaped hip-hop. Even when Yayo was incarcerated in 2003, his voice still made it onto Get Rich or Die Tryin, and when he came home, he dropped thoughts of a predicate felon, crashing into the charts at number 2. Nearly 20 years later, he proved he wasn't done yet with the Loyal Mixtape, 2023. This is the life of Tony Yayo, the talk of New York, built on loyalty, pressure, and a comeback that refuses to die. Let's get into South Jamaica. Queens moved with a raw pulse. Kids darting through traffic like sparks from a live wire, music spilling out of passing cars, and families holding themselves together with grit and hope. Into this restless rhythm, Marvin Bernard was born on March 31st, 1978, the youngest of 3 in a Haitian immigrant family already stretched thin. Being the baby didn't mean softness. Life pressed in on him early. Space was tight, money tighter, and responsibility landed on his shoulders long before he was ready. By 15, school felt distant, almost luxurious, so he stepped away from the classroom and into the street's fast, unforgiving current, hustling to help his family survive. When his parents divorced soon after, home grew heavier, colder, like a room where the heat had suddenly been cut. Marvin drifted outside more, onto corners and cracked courts where kids joked loudly to drown out quiet worries. Out there, beneath buzzing streetlights, he could breathe. It was in those same streets that Marvin connected with 2 boys walking the same rough path, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson and Lloyd Banks. Their bond formed naturally, like 3 threads pulled from the same cloth. They weren't dreaming of fame yet, just trying to survive, to stay loyal, and to escape for a moment through the rough-edged poetry of freestyles echoing across the block. Back home, while his older siblings carried their own burdens, Marvin carved out a tiny corner of the world in his bedroom. There, under dim light, he emptied his thoughts onto paper, everything he saw, everything he feared, everything he wanted to rise above. His writing was raw and unfiltered, like wet cement, waiting to harden into something solid. The name Tony Yayo would come later, lifted from Scarface and shaped by the slang of the streets. But long before that persona existed, there was just Marvin, youngest of 3, navigating broken routines and dangerous nights, clinging quietly to the hope of something more. Tony Yayo's rise tore through early 2000s hip-hop like a live wire hitting water, sudden, loud, and impossible to ignore. What began as a gritty brotherhood with 50 Cent and Lloyd Banks evolved into G-Unit, a force that struck the industry like lightning. By 1998, the trio had fully stepped into the professional realm, unleashing mixtapes that felt less like releases and more like war cries, announcing their arrival. Their momentum burst open in 2002 when tapes like 50 Cent Is the Future caught the ears of Eminem and Dr. Dre, prying open doors that once felt welded shut. Yet success came with shadows. Yayo's incarceration in 2003, even as his voice echoed across 50 Cent's blockbuster Get Rich or Die Tryin. His absence fueled a groundswell. Crowds everywhere lifted a single chant like a battle hymn, Free Yayo. Even behind bars, he was impossible to erase. That same year, G-Unit dropped Beg for Mercy, and though Yayo was locked away, his face appeared on the album cover like a ghost refusing to be forgotten. The project stormed past 4 million US sales, sealing G-Unit's dominance. When Yayo walked free in 2004, it felt like a door swinging open on cue. By 2005, he unleashed his debut album, Thoughts of a Predicate Felon, which shot to number 2 on the Billboard 200, carried by the pounding swagger of So Seductive. The project hit hard, bold, street-bent, unmistakably Yayo. So Seductive didn't stop at chart success. It earned him 2 Vibe Awards nominations in 2005, including Club Banger of the Year and Video Goddess, both tied to the single. One source even credits him with a BET Hip Hop Award for Lyricist of the Year, 2006, marking a peak in industry acknowledgement. But fame can shift like sand. After the highs came a long quiet. Label friction, group tensions, and G-Unit's turbulent late 2000s era slowed his output. Still, Yayo stayed firm, like a guard posted at the same gate, recording, performing, loyal to the crew that shaped him, embodying G-Unit's unbending attitude. Then, nearly 20 years after his debut, he returned with fire. In February 2023, Yayo dropped the Loyal Mixtape, a title that felt like both a promise and a victory lap. proof that he remained sharp, hungry, and built from the same steel that carried him from the start. Tony Yayo's path has never been linear. It's been a survival saga carved between prison walls and platinum milestones, setbacks and resurrections, loyalty and legacy. Through it all, he earned not just respect, but recognition. To truly understand Yayo's journey, let me guide you into the quieter corners of his life, places he shares sparingly, like pages of a diary he opens only for a chosen few. Tony Yayo carries himself like a man who learned early that silence can be armor. Fame threw bright lights at him, yet he kept the gentler parts of his world dim, moving through his personal life as softly as a whisper in a crowded room, slow, careful, and mostly unseen. In 2001, that protective quiet cracked just a little when he briefly crossed paths with author Karina Steffens. Their connection flared quickly, like a match struck in the dark, bright for an instant, then sad and gone before it could leave a mark. Even then, he slipped back into privacy as smoothly as he had stepped out. Years later, Yayo revealed a rare detail. He had once been involved with a woman of Puerto Rican ancestry. He offered it gently, almost cautiously, as though pulling back a curtain just enough to let in a sliver of light. There were no names, no stories, just a soft acknowledgement of a chapter clearly meaningful, but intentionally sheltered from the world. What he never hides, however, is his devotion to fatherhood. Yayo has 2 children, his daughter Mania and his son London. The brightest parts of a private life he guards like treasure he refuses to let the chaos of fame tarnish. He speaks of them with a quiet pride that needs no spotlight, yet he carefully keeps the identity of their mother out of public reach, preserving that boundary with the fierceness of a man protecting his last sanctuary. Today, Yayo is believed to be single, a man who's learned that peace often lives in stillness. His life outside music is intentionally calm, relationships kept behind closed doors, family wrapped in privacy, emotions handled in quiet tones rather than public displays. Now let's talk wealth. The kind that rises quietly, like a slow tide lifting a ship, while everyone else is watching storms somewhere else. Tony Yayo's financial story doesn't shout. It moves with the same control and caution he's carried his whole life, shaped by survival and sharpened by strategy. His fortune didn't appear in a flash. It grew layer by layer, a blend of opportunity and instinct. His strongest foundation came from the empire he helped build. G-Unit, where touring, royalties, and group projects formed a safety net, sturdy enough to outlast fading hype. Estimates place his net worth around $4 million, earned through music, acting, and business ventures, while another source values him closer to $10 million, crediting his roles as a rapper, entrepreneur, and actor. His rise wasn't accidental. When thoughts of a Predicate Felon dropped, its 215,000 first-week sales hit like thunder, sending a rush of revenue through his career. And as G-Unit evolved into a full-scale brand, Yayo grew with it, contributing to G-Unit clothing, stretching his money beyond music and anchoring himself deeper into the group's entrepreneurial identity. But he didn't stop there. He stepped into acting, adding new income streams through roles in Morning Glory, SWAT, Firefight, One Blood, and 50 Cent. The money and the power, each project expanding his creative footprint and financial reach. Endorsements followed, including a Fluid Vapor commercial, small on flash but steady in payout. The kind of subtle move that builds long-term wealth like drops filling a reservoir. Touring, however, remained his powerhouse. Yayo revealed that going on the road with 50 Cent could generate millions, proving the strength of their global pull. Performing beside 50 wasn't just loyalty, it was one of his most reliable income engines. Even when his career entered quieter seasons, the money didn't stop moving. Royalties flowed, streams climbed, and catalog plays stacked up over time. Then came 2023 when Yayo returned with the Loyal Mixtape, sparking fresh attention and breathing new life into his digital earnings. Tony Yayo's financial world wasn't built on luck. It was forged the same way he forged his path in music. With consistency, resilience, and strategic discipline, music, touring, acting, endorsements, merch, and streaming all became parts of a larger, intentional puzzle. Now let's slip into the world of horsepower and chrome, the side of Tony Yayo's life where success sits on 4 wheels and every engine growls like a victory drum. His car collection isn't just luxury on display. It reads like a memoir, forged in metal. Each vehicle feels like a chapter carved from triumph and danger, reflecting the road he had to survive to earn them. At the center of this fleet stands his crown jewel, the armored Bentley Continental GT, a $500,000 fortress on wheels. It doesn't glide quietly through neighborhoods. It moves like a silk-wrapped tank, built not simply for style but for survival. In one haunting moment, Yayo watched this very Bentley take a barrage of bullets during a drive-by while he sat protected in a separate armored truck. The Bentley absorbed the attack like a shield. Few luxury cars can claim battle scars, but his can. But his asphalt kingdom stretches far beyond that armored beast. Beside it rests a Rolls-Royce Phantom drophead, gleaming under streetlights like royalty wearing polished silver. Dropheads typically soar past $400,000, and in Yayo's world, this one rules as the elegant counterpart to his war-tested Bentley. Smooth, regal, commanding. Then comes the Range Rover, confident and towering, the kind of SUV that moves like a quiet giant, steady, strong, and unmistakably premium. It reflects the reliable, everyday side of his luxury. Of course, no rapper's collection feels complete without the heartbeat of speed. Lamborghinis. Exotic, sharp, and loud. They symbolize the fast lane he fought hard to earn. Sleek proof that he escaped the slow, dangerous grind of the streets and traded it for acceleration. Balancing out the roar of the exotics are his BMWs, precise and smooth. The kind of cars that feel like calm between storms, practical, premium, and perfectly Yayo. Altogether, Tony Yayo's collection stacks into the millions, a rolling testament to where he began and how far he's driven since. These cars aren't just machines, they're symbols, shields, and victories on wheels. Now let's step into the world behind the gates, the places where Tony Yayo retreats when the cameras shut off and the noise fades. His homes aren't just real estate, they're symbols of distance traveled, safety earned, and peace finally claimed. Tony Yayo lives with the instincts of a man who has seen danger up close, so he keeps his residences wrapped in privacy. What we do know is that he owns one of the luxurious mansions in America, its exact location intentionally undisclosed, a strategic move from someone who's learned that protection begins at the front door. It's a home built for quiet, the kind of place where success settles softly like evening light against tinted windows. But the mansion that fans speak of most is his Long Island estate, valued at over $2 million. Spread across sprawling land, this is the house that looks nothing like the South Jamaica blocks he grew up on. Think wide lawns, a pool made for summer nights, big terraces, and a private studio tucked inside like the heartbeat of the property. It's part celebration, part sanctuary, luxury wrapped around hard-earned peace. Inside, the home feels like a reflection of Yayo himself, confident, layered, and balanced. Features from lifestyle tours reveal sleek interiors, open spaces, and the comfort of a man who has finally allowed himself to relax. But beneath the marble floors and soft lighting is something more important, a father's space. Reports emphasize that Yayo maintains his mansion while living the life of a single dad raising 2 children, blending warmth with wealth in a way that feels both grounded and protective. Every inch of his property seems to carry intention. High gates, secure entries, surroundings carefully chosen. For a man who once watched bullets tear into his Bentley, a secure home is more than comfort, it's survival. It's armor made of brick instead of steel. Tony Yayo's homes aren't loud or excessive. They don't scream wealth, they whisper triumph. A $2 million Long Island estate, an undisclosed luxury mansion, and spaces crafted to keep danger out while letting life breathe in. Tony Yayo's luxury lifestyle travels with him, glinting on his wrist, draped across his shoulders, following him into every hotel lobby and business venture like a shadow made of gold. He once poured serious money into jewelry, stacking chains and diamonds until he learned how dangerous shine can be. He's spoken about artists getting robbed for staggering amounts, like that $300,000 jewelry theft, using it as a cautionary tale, a reminder that flashy ice can turn into a target as quickly as a spotlight. Fashion is his softer indulgence. Yayo steps out in Louis Vuitton, Amiri, and Loewe, wearing designer pieces that cling to him like luxury armor, loud without him having to say a word. Tour life elevates that luxury even further. On 50 Cent's global final lap tour, Yayo pulled in 6 figures, living in 5-star hotels like the Four Seasons overlooking the Eiffel Tower and the W Hotel in Bahrain, places that feel more like cinematic backdrops than tour stops. His spending isn't just about style, it reaches into business. Yayo is tied to Dr. Green, a cannabis brand linked to products ranging from flowers to blockchain and NFTs, diversifying his luxury like a man investing in the future, not just the moment. And even with his taste for elite brands, he stays grounded. He's warned younger artists about reckless spending, calling out those who burn through $100,000 on designer jeans, because in his world, flexing too bright can empty your pockets, or cost you much more. There's no way we're closing today's video without touching the heat around Tony Yayo, because with him, controversy didn't just knock, it often rode shotgun. Yayo's name has long been tied to feuds and flashpoint moments, and the biggest storm of all remains his decades-deep rivalry with Ja Rule. That old fire flared back up in 2026 when the two unexpectedly crossed paths on a commercial flight. A quiet stare became a spark, Voices rose, crew members stepped in, and Ja Rule later jumped online bragging about throwing him out, and Duri Marisur throwing a pillow at Yayo, mocking the encounter for everyone to see. It wasn't random, it was history climbing back into the cockpit at 30,000 feet, and Ja Rule made the fallout even louder, a reminder that this smoke isn't drifting away anytime soon. Even when he later tried to soften a 2025 flight incident, calling it a misunderstanding, the years of tension beneath it made the apology feel like a bandage on an old scar that never fully healed. But Yayo's controversies reach beyond feuds. In 2024, he stirred headlines again by weighing in on the lawsuit involving Jay-Z, calling it a money grab and suggesting the whole thing looked like extortion, an opinion that added fuel to an already burning industry moment. From heated confrontations in airplane aisles to blunt commentary on explosive cases, Tony Yayo has lived in a spotlight where conflict waits just behind the curtain, not because he hunts it, but because in his world, controversy follows like a shadow, always matching the stride of a man who refuses to back down. And that's where we'll leave it today. Tony Yayo's luxury life, a world built from survival and polished with success. From $500,000 armored Bentleys to $2 million estates that guard his peace. From rocking Louis Vuitton and unmerry like casual streetwear, to earning 6 figures on global tours while staying in the Four Seasons and the W in Bahrain. Tony Yayo's luxury isn't loud, it's calculated. It's not about showing off, it's about showing he made it. If you enjoyed this look into his world, hit that like button, subscribe, and let us know which part of Yayo's lifestyle surprised you the most. Until next time, stay sharp, stay hungry, stay legendary.